Leaving behind only 12 fighters to defend Israel, 180 aircraft took off for Egypt. Their target was 45 minutes away.
We observed total radio silence. We flew at the height of the waves for about 15 minutes. We flew low over the sand dunes. We crossed the Suez Canal at Kantara and entered the delta. As we flew over the delta, farmers waved to us. They probably thought we were Egyptian.
Most of the Israeli squadrons flew out to sea far to the west. They had extra fuel tanks to enable them to approach Egypt's air bases from an unexpected direction.
That was the longest 45 minutes in my life. The hands on my watch didn't seem to move. They went very slowly.
As the Israeli bombers approached their targets, the Egyptians received a coded message from Jordan.
They spotted Israeli planes heading towards us. So they sent us a signal from their radar base to warn us. The signal was in code. Our codes had changed the day before, and we had real trouble decoding it.
The Ministry of Defense asked the air defense people what they had done with the signal they had received. It had the code word grape. They replied, "What signal?"
At exactly 07:45, we pulled up to 6,000 feet. I looked down and saw the MiGs glinting on the edges of the runway. The pilots were sitting inside the cockpits. I knew we had caught them by surprise.
The Israelis began their attack by destroying the runways to prevent the Egyptian aircraft from taking off. The few that did get off the ground were no match for the Israeli fighters.
I got a call from one of the Air Force chiefs. He said, "Nofel, Nofel." I said, "Yes, sir." He said, "Our airfields are being attacked." I said, "What the hell are you talking about?" He said, "Our airfields are being attacked." I said, "Our airfields?" He said, "The airfields in the Sinai are being attacked." I said, "All the Sinai airfields? Tell me it's not true." And he said, "Believe me, all the airfields are being attacked." I hung up. The phone rang again. It was another commander. He said, "We're being attacked." So I said to myself, well, something must be going on. But I was all alone.
He was alone because the head of the Egyptian armed forces, Marshal Amer, had left with the Minister of War and his top brass to inspect their positions in the Sinai.
10 minutes after takeoff, we heard about the Israeli attack. We turned round and flew back. Our cars had gone. We had to hail a taxi to get back to headquarters.
By the time Marshal Amer's taxi got him back to headquarters, Egypt's Air Force was destroyed.
Marshal Amer was panicking. He told the Air Force chief to implement the counterattack plan. The Air Force chief replied, "How can I? I have no aircraft."
In the Sinai, Egypt had 3 times as many tanks as Israel, but with no air cover, their situation was dire.
Marshal Amer told me, draw up a plan of retreat. Bring the troops back across the canal.
Marshal Amer had been a close friend of President Nasser for more than 20 years. They had fought together as young officers. Together they had planned the coup which brought down the Egyptian monarchy. Now the defeated president phoned his defeated army commander.
I was the only other person there. Amer was in tears. He was calling Nasser by his first name. He said, "Let me bring our boys back safely, Gamal." When he put the phone down, I asked, "Why are you crying?" He told me Nasser had said, "Forgive me, Hakim. I caused this catastrophe. Forgive me, Hakim." Abdul Nasser had been crying too.
Marshal Amer didn't wait for his chief of staff to plan a retreat. He simply picked up the phone and gave the order himself.
The order was, withdraw back across the canal. Leave the artillery behind.
Marshal Amer's order was a disaster. With no plan, his retreating units could not protect each other. The Israelis gave chase.
Our tanks had Egyptian tanks in front and behind them. We attacked them from the ground and from the air. Thousands were destroyed. They were all burning. It was a terrible sight.